totally awesome fishing show. Yes guys, we're back sea fishing. In fact, we're doing some beach fishing. We're down with Paul Harris, Ireland's top shore guide, and we are going to be catching, well, should we tell you or not? We're hopefully going to be targeting some rays if we can, but there's going to be some big bullhuss around, possibly some dogfish. Well, hey guys, it is Ireland. Where are we? We're on the Beara Peninsula over in southwest Ireland. The weather looks like, well, shall we say it's going to be good or not? We're going to run a bit of a risk there, aren't we, really? But we're going to be shore fishing. I'm going to have a word with Paul now, and he's going to tell us a little bit about this area we're fishing in this morning.
Right, the interesting thing about this particular area, not exactly where we're fishing now, but the other part of the area, it's a very shallow ledge, and it goes out and then it drops off quite quickly. At about sort of 30 yards out, it drops away from about 8 feet of water into about 30 foot of water. So you want to be well beyond that ledge, and that's where we pick up the bulk of the rays and the huss and everything. Where we are today it's shallower. We haven't got that drop off, that ledge. We probably have, but we can't cast that far. I think it's about 200 yards out the ledge. So, and actually, as I'm talking to you now, I've just actually had a bite. And I think actually...
Now, I hate to say what's a good bait for dogfish, but there are people like youngsters that like catching doggies. What would you say is a sort of top bait for them?
Top bait is anything that's got lots of oil on it, really. Mackerel is great, as you could expect. All the dogfish love mackerel, but you'll also catch them on squid, you'll catch them on sand eel, you catch them on a bit of anything, really. This one just managed to drop the bait as I picked the rod up, so I didn't really set the hook. The thing about huss and dogfish is that you've really got to set the hook in them. A lot of people don't strike hard enough, and that was an example then. I should have picked the rod a bit lazily and didn't really strike. Many a person had a good huss right to the shore, and then it sort of quietly spat the bait out on them, and it's very disappointing to lose 12 pounds or so of huss just by the fact you didn't put a good strike in on the fish.
Bantry Bay is a huge body of water, and it's bordered to the north of its bay by the headland and mountains of the Beara Peninsula. This part of Ireland is rapidly gaining a reputation as the place to visit if you want to catch a big fish from the shore. There aren't many beaches, but you'll find plenty of great rock marks to explore. And once you get right out on the end of the Beara, you could be casting your bait into 100 feet of water. And as all fishermen know, that means specimen fish of a variety of species are always on the cards. As well as the pristine waters, you'll be fishing in some of the greatest scenery in Europe.
Fish there, Paul?
Oh, no. It's another one. Another little doggy. I think that's about 22 or something.
That's him. Very black, aren't they, Paul? They're very dark here.
Yeah, they're living in deep water. They're coming out of deep water. They're living in kelp. They're strong as strong can be, of course. Put the rod down before it bites me. You've got to be so careful, even a little fish like this, if you don't hold him properly, he'll wrap that tail around your hand and take the skin off it before you can blink. There's the sand eel that we're using. Using a 2-hook rig. Right, and as a change from the bottom fishing with the huss and the rays and the dogfish, one of my guests was just out a few days ago down here on the lures and had some nice bass. So perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about the bass you caught the other day and how you caught them and what the lure was that you caught them on.
I was basically using this LX Bunny. It's a walk the dog type lure. You can zip it across the surface, you can pause it, twitch it, The bass seem to like the noise of it. There's a nice noise coming out of it.
It's got a rattle in it, yeah.
It's got a good rattle in it, so it attracts the bass. I got 4 at just coming up to high tides, about an hour before high tides.
Any size to them?
The biggest one was 6 pounds.
Good fish.
So good scrap on them.
Absolutely, especially that rod. What's that rod? Very light, that one.
This is up to 12 grams. It's an Ilex, so it's very light. It's I like going light. Can scramble across the rocks, keep moving.
And your rod and reel there, what have you got on the rod and reel?
This is a Shimano Erno. It's quite a cheap reel for the money you're paying for it. It does the job great. I had a 14-pound pollock on it yesterday.
14 pounds off the shore. This is, we got to add. This is off the shore.
Yeah, down in Cork. It's great stuff.
And what on a rubber lure or?
That was on a soft plastic, just shad. And I was doing slug goes as well, so I got a few of them.
And you got braid on there by the look of it?
Yeah, I have 20-pound braid on it, which is quite light again, but it's heavy enough for this sort of terrain.
Well, there might have been bass for Richard the day before, but on this day a total change in wind direction had shut those silver predators down. Only the commercial shrimp boat seemed to be having all the success. We fished on for an hour, but with no rays, Paul decided to try out on the end of the Beara the following day. This was a good choice, as the next day the wind had eased and the blue sky was out in force. Always nice to feel that heat of the sun when you're fishing on the rocks. And the local Irish crabbers were out there as well, which generally meant the weather should be good for a day fishing on the rocks. With baits out in deep water, it wasn't too long before Paul was into the first fish of the day.
Well, here we are, a new day, new mark. We were sort of dogged out on the other place, and we just tried this. This has never been fished before, and it's not unusual on the Beara to be fishing a new place. We've got loads of them, so we just thought we'd give this a try. It's fairly kelpy on the inside. There's rough ground a bit further out, and then we go on to sand. And we've been fishing about 15 minutes, and that's the first fish of the day. Usually it's always a dogfish. We're bang on the bottom of low tide at the moment, so we're probably going to have to wait an hour or two as the tide fills to start to get the best of it. But oh well, fish at the start, it's always a good promise, so we'll see how we carry on. Right, the main sort of rig that we're using for the fishing today, and the main rig we use for a lot of fishing on the Beara, actually for the ray, the huss, and that sort of thing, is the pulley rig. Good old traditional pulley rig. Very simple system. There you have the little pulley bead there attached to your main line. That's attached to the lead. This has got a nice little bait clip on it, as you can see there. And that all just fits together nicely when you cast it out into a nice streamlined position. The advantage to the pulley rig, when the big fish attaches to those hooks, then everything pulls up here and the lead comes up to your main line. When the lead is there, it's out of danger. It's not going to get caught in any rocks or anything like that, so you can play the fish with a lot more confidence. And of course, hopefully there's 8 or 10 pound of fish attached to the end of the line to pull the lead there. Bait, well, we were talking before, fresh mackerel, wonderful bait, one of the great baits. But another bait that's equally as good that we use all the time here on the Beara is sand eel. Now, some of you might think that's a large sand eel. That's perfect for here. And these have a little cool box to carry them round in. Keeps them frozen. You really want to keep them frozen. They take about, that's been out of the freezer box for a few minutes, look, and already it's nice and thawed. But you can put them on thawed or frozen. We use a pennel rig, 2-hook pennel rig, and just take your sand eel, cut it just about there. If you cut it about there, now I'd normally have these a little bit more frozen, but you can see that's where all the lovely juices and everything are on the sand eel. Cut the tail off because that just stops it spinning around in the water when you retrieve it. And now you see all lots of fancy ways of putting sand eel on. I'll show you, very simple. Just push that through and pull it through there. Pull that down through the tail, and once again just turn it so you want to make sure you've got that sort of hook exposed. Fetch the other hook up. This, as you can see, is running free on the line, so what we're doing with that is just going to get hold and just put a couple of 3 twists in it and then just hook it through. So that's that done, and then all you need is the ever present, ever necessary piece of elastic. So we just pop that on there, just wrap it round. Once again, there's no fancy knots or anything with this. You just wrap it to there, just give it a little bit more back. You don't need to sort of mummify it in elastic. Just a quick twist there, give it a pull, and there you go. That won't come undone. That bait will catch everything. That will catch huss, that will catch conger, it will catch rays, it'll catch pollock, it'll catch bass. You know, they all are looking for this sort of food on the bottom. They'll all eat that. It's a great bait, great all-round bait. Always available because you can always keep it in the freezer. So that's it, good all-round bait, sand eel. Take a fillet off it. Now, a few lessons. One, having a sharp knife. You're less likely to cut yourself with a sharp knife than a blunt knife. Just cut down like that, and then cutting away from yourself, you can just run the knife down on the bone and just hold it there. And there we go. So there, put that out of the way. There's a lovely fillet of mackerel. Lots of ways, once again, that you could put that whole thing on. Now that'd be ideal for a conger eel or something like that, and for a huss. We're today fishing more for ray, so we'll just take a nice little piece off. There we go, just a nice little piece. Now, 2 pieces there really, and you could use either of those. They're both fine for a nice bit of fishing. We'll just take the small one for now, just to use as example. Once again, we're using the 2-hook pennel rigs. These are sort of 4-hoe hooks. Through there, it's very much like the sand eel really. Pull it through. You can just run the hook down here. You can go through another time if you want to, often not necessary really. Just pull the hook through there. Sometimes it just goes through too much. There we go. Like that. Like that. We bring our other hook along the same, just very similar to how we did with the sand eel. Twist it around a couple of times, put it through again, and there you go. There's a nice little bait. All you need now, a little bit of elastic, and just whip it onto the hook and to the line. As I said with the sand eel, don't mummify it, don't use too much elastic. That's plenty. Pull it off. And there you go, very simple little bait. The hook's nicely presented, so wherever they take the bait, you should be able to hook them. Mackerel, every angler's favourite bait. Alright, here we go, 15 minutes after I had my dogfish, Graeme gets his first Thornback Ray on the Beara. Typical fish, typical thornback, covered in thorns as you can see. Be very careful if you're ever picking one of these up. Never pick them up by the tail or anything like that. They're really sharp. This would be about, I suppose about £8. It'd be about an average fish for the Beara. We've had them to £17 off the shore, which is quite a spectacular fish. But £6 to £8, that'd be fairly normal. This one came on mackerel. Great bait, you can't beat fresh mackerel. And when you think we're into October at the moment, this is winter fishing in October on the Beara. Wow, who wants cod? Look at that, beautiful big thornback.
With my first Beara thornback out of the way, we could relax. Well, as much as anyone fishing big fish from rock marks can relax. There's not exactly anywhere flat to sit down or lay down. All that volcanic, geological hard stuff always seems to have a point on it. the Atlantic is as clear as you could wish for, and the lush kelp beds mean plenty of hiding places for the smaller bait fish. And Paul was in yet again. And with Ireland, there's usually not too long a time to wait before you get a bite. You can never be certain what exactly is on the end of your fishing line. And the one species you can count on, yes, it's the trusty old dogfish. And just as I was finished filming Paul's fish, my own rod put me onto a Thornback Ray.
There we go, we just let this one recover in a rock pool down. It's a saltwater rock pool. Going to get it straight back in the water. Thanks to Paul, brought me to the right spot. 2 Thornback Rays, well, about one and a half hours, something like we've been here, and some dogs as well. Tide's starting to flood now, so hopefully we may get another. But look, October, fish, come on, it's totally awesome.
Although the rays can be eaten, I like to return them for another day. It's just great to see them swim away in that clear water. Make sure your bait is supported by that elasticated thread and clip it down so it's neat and tidy. That way you should get an extra few yards on your cast. I like to use large fixed ball reels as they don't give you the overrun potential that a multiplier reel does. Easy to cast, easy to operate, and with 15 to 20 pound main line plus a shock leader of 50 pounds for casting and weights, let's say 4 to 6 ounces of lead, you should be able to get your bait well out into the deep water where the big Thornback Rays are hunting. And don't forget that right under your feet lie the conger eels, so you can cast one rod well out for the rays and drop the other close into the side for a big eel. And it wasn't too long before I was again into a nice Thornback Ray. I mean, the shore fishing on the Beara Peninsula is better than some of my boat fishing. Plus, you don't get seasick. Always try to fish from the rocks in pairs, and not just for safety, but because you might need some help in bringing a big ray ashore for unhooking and photographs. If you're nervous about picking up the ray because of those thorns, why not use a small cloth and then you can hold it by the tail? That should make it safer. Or even a pair of leather gardening gloves. It's rare to see another angler out on the Beara Peninsula. This gentleman was the only angler I saw in 4 days fishing. And who could blame him for being out there with such a magnificent backdrop and sparkling clear day? But I wonder, does his boss know where he is? Mind you, the guy in the red shirt can't complain. He gets to go fishing almost every day. What a tough life. You don't need super long casts from the rocks. Just a good throw to put a big mackerel or squid bait out around 60 to 80 yards. And let some line fall off the free spool to allow that lead to tow the bait straight down. And here comes another bite for the totally awesome fishing show producer. Haha, he thinks he has another ray on the hook, but it suddenly turns into the world's smallest conger eel. Oh well, I suppose I could still count it. I mean, it's a PB of sorts. Plus, it goes straight back to grow into a monster 50-pounder. Don't go too far away from your fishing rods or they might get dragged in. This stretch of coastline is largely unexplored, and there have been a number of instances where anglers have hooked into monster fish, only to lose them close into the rocks. So when you set the hook, keep the pressure on and haul hard, or you risk losing them in the rocks, snags and weed beds down deep. So there are some tips for targeting thornback rays from the rocks. A double figure fish is always on the cards here, and a 15-pounder really is a possibility. The Beara Peninsula, a great spot to get your personal best flatty.